It's Natalie with the Think Yourself Academy. We just got back from a celebration of life. Interestingly enough, it's a very old friend of my husband that he had not seen in over 20 years. And I did not know him. I had never met the guy. And during the whole celebration of life, I got to know him. I learned with the testimonials, with the stories, with everybody that came up to the microphone to say their piece and their story and their souvenir and whatever marked them in this gentleman's life. And interestingly enough, I fell in love with the guy. Like, wow, what a man he was. And I wish I had met him. And it got me wonder what are the main things that everybody was talking about. There were three big themes that kept coming back. And no, it was not, oh, I so remember the big truck that he was driving and I really loved him for that, or the big house that he lived in, or nobody mentioned what kind of clothes he was wearing, or the size of the boat he was driving. Like, nobody talked about this. The first thing that everybody talked about was his smile, that he was always smiling, that he was always positive, and he kept finding something good in everything, and he kept finding a fun thing to say about any situation. And how he was kind, and how he was smiling at everybody and caring and genuinely just happy, right? Now, that's the first piece. Let's fast forward in our future and say, do we want people to remember us as a smiling and happy person, as that person that was positive, that would, like, nobody would show up at eulogy time to say that, oh, I remember that this person was always very negative and seeing the bad side of things, and I remember this person being very rational and then safe and making sure that we could always see the other side of the medal. Like, I don't know that this is something that people would actually point out, but the fact that somebody is always looking for the good side of things has been noticed in that man's life. The second thing that everybody said is that you knew when you were with him that he was listening to you, because he looked at you in the eyes. He was constantly really listening and paying attention and being dedicated to whatever he was doing. He was present. He was there. He was devoted to his children, to his wife, to his friends, to people. Wherever he was there, fully present. And that's one thing that we all have to learn from, I believe. And that's something that I would love for people to say that of me. And that's one thing that I have to work on, definitely, because I seem to be more like through time and always knowing what's next and getting ready for the next thing and looking at my watch to make sure I'm not late for the next appointment or the next meeting or the next this. And sometimes I forget to just be in the present right now. And now the third thing that everybody mentioned about him was the fact that he lived. He lived. Like, he would just figure out a way to make things happen and to organize. Like, he was an organizer. He was always making sure everybody had a good time, and he would be the person that would figure it out, even though it's not like he had a good job and he was living a good life. Nothing really fancy, just a normal Joe kind of salary, and he was making ends meet, and everything was fine, and he could find a way to go on boat tours because he would find a Groupon code and take his family to this and do it. finding a way to do what he wanted to do all the time, and no regret, living life like there's only one, and that it's your last day. And everybody agreed that he lived, and although he left us very young, so 58 years old, I know that in the audience, some people that are in their 70s, some people that will live until maybe 100, even in 100 years, won't live as much as my husband's friend has lived in the short life that he had. So do we want people to say that from us, that we've lived, that we took advantage of the time that we had, or do we want people to say that, I so remember Natalie because she was working all the time and she was saving so much money for when she would retire, and then retirement never came, and that was that? Or do I want people to say, oh, Natalie was working and she was still taking time to enjoy life at the same time? So let's sit back maybe this week and try to figure out what are the main things that we want people to remember about us, and what are the things that maybe small changes that you can do. And one thing for sure, going beyond the three things that you might come up with, is, are there anybody in your life that you would like to reconnect with, that you may not have a chance? Is there somebody on your list that you've always thought of and you're always thinking, I wonder where they are at, and I would like to connect with them? So maybe this week is a good time to do this and take the opportunity to take that step towards that connection with that person that maybe you haven't seen in a long time. And it's time to connect, because we never know when life is going to take these people away from us. So connect with the people that you love, and then maybe make some tweaks to your life, and see if there are things that you would like people to remember you by, and try to figure out right away what are the behaviors and the way you will be present with your friends, and the way you will interact with people might affect what they will say from you when you're gone.